In Xiaomi's recent announcement, they announced a lot of phones, and one of them is the new Xiaomi 11 Lite 5G NE. And the name is a mouthful of gibberish that I'm not going to pronounce for most of the time because I will most probably get it wrong. But the name aside though, this is actually a pretty good phone, especially for its price. So let's take a look. So let's start off by talking about the design of this phone because it's pretty much in line with what the Mi 11 Lite was about. It's very lightweight, very thin, and this time it has this very fancy looking white finish at the back, which looks like a kitchen countertop marble kind of material. But that aside though, it is a matte finish and it just feels a lot nicer to touch and feel compared to some of the other cheap glass bags on phones. There are also multiple different color options for you to choose from. It's just that I think only the white color has this kind of texture. So yeah, if you want this texture, then get the white color. Okay, moving on. Now it's time for the performance because the Xiaomi 11 Lite 5G NE comes with the Snapdragon 778G chipset with 8GB of RAM and also 128GB of storage. Overall, this chipset is actually really powerful because we can run games without much of an issue, including Genshin Impact. Now, we cannot run it at the highest graphical settings because it will hit that 46 degrees Celsius thermal limit quite easily, but I can still get about 50-ish FPS at low graphical settings, so yeah, I would still consider it as acceptable overall. And now it's time for the screen. This is a pretty standard 6.55-inch AMOLED screen with up to 90Hz refresh rate. Overall, screen looks good, nothing much to complain about. Colors are fine, and yeah, it's just really standard AMOLED screen which you have come to expect over these few years. Perhaps one thing that we should tell you about is that Xiaomi seems to have moved away from all of the under-display fingerprint scanners because from this year onwards, it seems like all Xiaomi phones have been moving on to this kind of side-mounted fingerprint scanners. And I personally prefer this unlock method compared to under-display fingerprint scanners. Now for the cameras, we have a total of 3 different cameras on this phone, and personally I think they all take pretty good pictures overall in broad daylight. Both the main and ultra wide angle cameras are just excellent, but I think the white balance is slightly off in some areas, but I think it's pretty difficult to realize actually. But moving to indoor shots though, it's quite bad. The details are gone and the overall sharpness also disappears. But at least the colors is still pretty good indoors, I guess. And finally, the tele macro camera. I absolutely love this camera because it has autofocus, and number 2, it is zoomed in, so the shadow of the phone will not be caught in the shot. Now, for the battery life, even with such a thin body overall, this phone still comes with a 4250 mAh battery, and it can also last for a pretty long time, going for about 14 hours in our battery life test. And this can potentially mean up to 2 days of battery life with just one single charge. But the charging time is actually nothing special because in the box here it comes with a 33-watt charger and it charges from 15 to 100% in about an hour's time. Yeah, that's pretty standard. As for the software side of things, it still uses MIUI and it's just like any other MIUI that we've tried previously. So if you want to learn more, check out our previous reviews instead. And one thing that I should highlight is that the screen recording on this phone is still capped at 30 FPS in case you are wondering. And finally, the price. The Xiaomi 11 Lite 5G NE, it's a mouthful of a name, is starting at a price of 1,199 ringgit, which I think is pretty okay in terms of affordability. And I think in some ways, the Xiaomi 11 Lite 5G NE is better than the Redmi Note 10 Pro. So yeah, overall, it's a really good phone. But unfortunately, if you bought the Mi 11 Lite from earlier this year, then yeah, this phone is just such a huge upgrade over the Mi 11 Lite. So yeah, Xiaomi launches new phones with such a short time span. So yeah, that's it. That's all we have to share with you about this phone. It's a pretty simple phone, but it's a good one and I kind of like this phone. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. And we'll see you guys in the next video.